study cardiovascular system. So before we actually go into the cardiac pathologies, let us learn the physiology of the heart and blood vessels also. So it is very important for us to revise the physiology. So this lecture will be completely based on the physiology, right? So heart, Hirschsprung textbook of pathology, 6th edition, chapter 16, heart. So heart is a muscular pump that ejects blood into the vascular tree with sufficient pressure. So we already know heart is a modified vascular structure, right? It is a blood vessel only which is modified, which has muscles, which has soft muscles, which pumps the blood so that the blood moves into the vascular system, right? So this heart in human, it is approximately, in adult male it is 300 to 350 grams, whereas in female it is 250 to 300 grams. Heart is divided into 4 chambers, right and left atrium, right and left ventricle. So right and left atrium are superiorly placed, whereas right and left ventricle are inferiorly placed, up and down. Then these atrias, they are separated by interatrial septums. The two atrias are separated by interatrial septums, and the ventricles are separated by interventricular septum. So overall, the auricles and the ventricles together, they are separated by the atrias, and the ventricles, they are separated by atrioventricular septum. Now the blood flows into the heart and the heart pumps the blood. We already know that. Let us look little more into the heart, right? So the right atrium, the right ventricle, the left atrium and the left ventricle, right? These 4 chambers, and these 4 chambers they are separated by valves, right? The valves. The left atrium is having a bicuspid valve, mitral valve, whereas the right atrium is having a tricuspid valve, right? So let us learn about the valves. So two loose flap-like atrioventricular valves, tricuspid on the right and mitral, also called as bicuspid because it has 2 cusps. It has 2 leaflets. These leaflets are 2. And the 2 semilunar valves with 3 leaflets, these are the pulmonary and the aortic valves. So the pulmonary artery is lined by the pulmonary valve, and the aorta is lined by the aortic valve. So these 2 pulmonary and aortic valves, they are called as semilunar valves. So there are total 4 valves: 2 atrioventricular valves, the bicuspid valve and the tricuspid valves. The bicuspid is also called as mitral valve, and 2 valves in the 2 semilunar valves, one in the pulmonary artery and one in the aorta, right? Pulmonary artery valve is pulmonic valve and aorta is aortic valve, right? So we will study about the anatomy of these valves when we will go into the diseases of the valves. So right now, let us first learn the anatomy of the heart muscle. So the heart consists mainly of myocardium, or in fact heart consists of 3 layers: myocardium, epicardium and endocardium. Endocardium is the innermost layer, and the myocardium is the main muscular layer which contains the muscles, and the epicardium, or it is also called the pericardium, right? Epicardium or pericardium is the outermost layer. So endocardium, myocardium and pericardium. Now this pericardium is a double membrane. The inside is visceral membrane and the outside is parietal membrane, and this visceral and parietal membrane has little fluid in between them, right? Pericardial fluid, very less amount of pericardial fluid so as to avoid the friction. Now the myocardium is the muscle tissue of the heart, and it it is made up of smooth muscle tissues. It is made up of the cardiac tissue, cardiac muscles, and these cardiac muscles have the similar sarcomeres and the similar bands, dark A band, light I band, right, which are responsible for the contraction of the muscles, right. Now these bands have specific proteins in them. These muscles have specific proteins in them which are called as troponin I, troponin T, and troponin C. These tropomyosins, these troponin I, troponin T, and troponin C are 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 released whenever the myocardial tissue is damaged, right. So you have to remember that the myocardium is made up of these proteins, the tropomyosin proteins, troponin I and troponin T. So next is the conduction system. Now heart has a independent electrical event, right, which is regulated by the nodes. The conduction system has two nodes, main two nodes, SA node and AV node. SA node is the primary node which generates the electrical signal, and that electrical signal is independent, that is independent of the CNS, although it is supplied by the sympathetic and the parasympathetic supplies, right. Parasympathetic supplies the vagus nerve, and sympathetic supplies from the transverse, from the thoracic vertebrae. From the thoracic vertebrae it supplies the nerve, the cardiac nerve, to the cardiac, but those only regulates, that they only increases or decreases the heart rate, right. So the heart rate, the electrical signal generated by the heart is independent. The SA node fires on its own in a regular rhythmic fashion, and the electrons, they transfer from the SA node, the electrical signal transfer from SA node to the AV node, and from the AV node to the muscles of the ventricles, muscles of the heart. So SA node is located at the posterior wall of the right atrium, right, where the superior vena cava enters the heart, right. So at the posterior wall of the right atrium. So this heart is also having, it is also divided into many planes. One we have already discussed, the superior, where the atria lie, and the inferior, where the ventricles lie. Apart from this, it has a lateral wall. Lateral wall means the side wall. So it is the lateral wall, right, lateral wall of the heart. And apart from lateral wall, it has anterior and posterior walls, right. Anterior means towards the front of the chest, the anterior chest, and posterior wall away from the anterior chest, right. Anterior, and then left and right also, right. It is also divided into left and right, right. So these are some of the planes which you should know. So the SA node, it is located at the posterior wall, right, not at the anterior wall. It is located posteriorly, right, towards the posterior chest. So it is located at the posterior wall, at the point where the superior vena cava enters the heart. Where this superior vena cava it enters the heart, it is located here. So this is SA node, and then this SA node, through three branches, it connects to the AV node, and this atrioventricular node, which is located at the top of the interventricular septum, right. So these two ventricles and these two ventricles, the interventricular septum, so it is located here, right. It is wrongly placed here. It is located somewhere here at the interventricular septum, and it receives the impulses from the SA node, and from here it transmits through the bundle of His. Bundle of His divides into right bundle branch and left bundle branch, and into Purkinje fibers, and they gives the electrical signal to the heart, right. So then we have the myocardial blood supply. Before going to the myocardial blood supply, let us first remember, or let us first revise the overall blood supply of the body, right. It is very important for a clinician, for a physician to know, or for a medical student to know The major blood vessels, we have to remember at all times the major blood vessels. You should never forget the major blood vessels, especially the arteries. You should never forget, because there are so many diseases which happens in arteries, and whenever there is any blockage in the artery, it can lead to certain pathologies. So in order to understand those pathologies, you should always know the regular blood supply of the body, right? So this is the beautiful heart. So this is arc of aorta, very easy to identify, arc of aorta, right? So remember arc of aorta. Then this arc of aorta gives three branches, right? Remember, it gives three branches. First branch to the right, this is left because this is the apex. Apex is towards the left of the body. Anyways, we always consider this portion as left. So the first branch to the right, the second branch up, and third branch to the left, right? So arc of aorta gives three branches. Then this is superior vena cava, which is taking the blood, which is bringing the blood from the upper portion of the body into the heart, and this is the inferior vena cava, from the lower portion of the body. It is bringing the blood, right, the deoxygenated blood into the heart, right? Then this is pulmonary artery, right? Pulmonary artery is taking the blood, sorry, this is pulmonary vein. The pulmonary vein is dividing into right pulmonary vein and left pulmonary vein, and it is giving branches in this area, which is the lungs. So it is giving branches to the lungs, right? Lungs. So from the lungs, the oxygenated blood is coming through the pulmonary vein into the heart, right? Okay. And then these four branches, 1, 2, 3 and 4, these are pulmonary arteries which are taking the deoxygenated blood into the lungs, right? So this is the basic structure. Now let us see once again. So this is the sagittal section of the heart, and now you can see the red is the oxygenated blood and the blue is the deoxygenated blood. So now let us first learn the red. So this is the oxygenated blood and this is the arc of aorta, right? The arc of aorta is giving three branches. First to the right, second to the upper body, and third to the left, right? So arc of aorta, and arc of aorta is turning back and going down, right? So at the back of the heart, it is called as thoracic aorta because it is going from the thorax. So thoracic aorta, and then down in the abdomen, so it is called as abdominal aorta, right? And then it is going a little more down and it is dividing into two, right? It is dividing into common iliac arteries, right? And it is going further down, right? Don't worry, we will study about all of this. So the blood is pumped from the left ventricle, right? The blood, the oxygenated blood, which is coming from the lungs through the pulmonary vein into the left atrium, and then going into the left ventricle, and left ventricle pumps the blood into the arc of aorta, and from the arc of aorta it goes into the descending aorta, first thoracic aorta, then abdominal aorta, and then to the lower extremities it goes, right? The same blood through the veins it comes back. So from the lower portion of the body, the inferior vena cava brings the blood, and from the upper portion of the body, the superior vena cava brings the blood, and it drains into the right atrium, and from the right atrium the blood goes into the left atrium, right ventricle, and from the right ventricle it is pumped into the pulmonary artery, and from the pulmonary artery it goes to the left lung and the right lung, where it is oxygenated and again put back into the pulmonary veins and again into the left side of the heart, right? So this is very important for you to know, for us to know. This is very important because we are going to deal with certain diseases which involves the derangement of this circulation. Now let us be more specific and let us learn the major arteries of the cardiovascular system. So the first artery, or the first major blood vessel appears as soon as the left ventricle pumps the blood, right? So after left ventricle, the first blood vessel to appear is ascending aorta, right? Ascending aorta. You can see this ascending aorta here. Yeah, here. So this ascending aorta, right? This ascending aorta is the first blood vessel to appear, and this ascending aorta gives the branches. So the first branches which this ascending aorta gives are right coronary artery and the left coronary artery, right? Left coronary artery and the right coronary artery, which supplies the blood to the myocardium, which supplies the blood to the heart itself, right? These are called as pericardial blood vessels, the right coronary artery and the left coronary artery, right? So ascending aorta gives its branches as left coronary artery and right coronary artery. Left coronary artery again gives two branches, left anterior descending branch and left circumflex artery. We will study about this later. Whereas the right coronary artery does not give any branches, right? So after ascending aorta, the arc of aorta is the second part, the arc of aorta. The arc of aorta gives three branches, one to the right, one to the head region, and third to the left. So the first branch which is going to the right is called as brachiocephalic artery. The second which is going to the head region is called as common carotid artery. And the third is called as subclavian artery, the left subclavian artery. So once again, the arc of aorta is giving three branches. First is brachiocephalic artery, second is left common carotid artery, and third is left subclavian artery, right? L here represents left, right? Now let us see the right first branch which is going to the right side, the brachiocephalic artery. So this brachiocephalic artery, why it is called as brachiocephalic? Because it will give its supply to the brachial side, to the arm, and cephalic means to the head. So this brachial artery again divides into two and gives the right common carotid artery and the right subclavian artery, right? So right subclavian artery and right common carotid artery. Now let us have a look here. So see, this is the first branch, right? The first branch is the brachiocephalic artery. The brachiocephalic artery is giving the branch, further it is dividing into two. Below this it is dividing into two, one going up, one is right common carotid artery and this is right brachial artery, right? Right subclavian artery, right? Subclavian artery will become a brachial artery here. So right subclavian artery, right? So brachiocephalic artery dividing into right common carotid artery and right subclavian artery. Clear? So let us see the second branch, the left common carotid artery. Remember this, left common carotid artery. So this is common carotid left common carotid artery, right? This left common carotid artery again will divide at the region of the neck. It will divide into internal carotid artery and external carotid artery. Similarly, this right common carotid artery also will divide into this right common carotid artery will also divide into external and internal carotid artery. So the artery going up to the neck is common carotid artery. Now at the region of the neck it will divide into internal carotid and external carotid. Similarly, the second branch is left common carotid artery, right? This is left common carotid artery and this left common carotid artery will also divide into an external branch, external carotid artery and internal carotid artery, right? So let us learn the third branch, of the aorta? The left subclavian artery. The left subclavian artery, this third branch, will go to the left arm. In the left, it will go into the left arm. Before going to the left arm, it will give a vertebral artery, right, which will go from the vertebra through the vertebra into the head region. So the head region receives blood through carotid arteries, both right carotid artery and the left carotid artery, right common carotid artery, see, and left common carotid artery. Right common carotid artery again divides into external and internal, whereas left common carotid artery is also dividing into internal and external, right? One on the right side and one on the left side, it is dividing into external and internal carotid arteries. Whereas this subclavian artery gives off its branch as vertebral artery, and this vertebral artery also goes into the brain. So brain receives two arteries, one is vertebral artery and second is carotid artery, right? This left subclavian artery, right, this left subclavian artery goes into the hand. This left subclavian artery, it goes into the hand, and it is called as brachial artery, axillary artery, and then it divides at the region of elbow into um, um, cephalic artery, and then it divides into radial artery towards the radial side, towards the thumb side, and ulnar artery towards the middle finger, towards the little finger side. So radial artery and ulnar arteries, right? Left subclavian or subclavian artery gives off other branches also. It gives one branch to the thorax, internal thoracic artery. It gives one branch to the cervical region, thyrocervical trunk, and it gives to the costocervical trunk, and it gives one branch to the scapular artery. However, these are not very important. What you should know that this subclavian artery goes into the hands, the left subclavian artery to the left hand and the right subclavian artery to the right hand, and it becomes the brachial artery, and after brachial artery it becomes the cephalic artery, and then it becomes the radial artery, and then radial and ulnar artery. So radial and ulnar arteries are important. Then after ascending, after aortic arc, the aorta, it goes from the back of the heart, and that is called as descending aorta. So now this is called as descending aorta, and when it is descending down, it gives one bronchial artery from here, right? One bronchial artery from here to the bronchi, right? To the lungs, it gives one bronchial artery, right? So lung has dual blood supply, one from the bronchial artery and one from the pulmonary vein, right? And when it descends down to the descending aorta or the thoracic aorta, and then it goes down and it becomes abdominal aorta. Now abdominal aorta gives its first branch as celiac artery, right? Celiac artery. This celiac artery again divides into three: gastric artery, hepatic artery, and the splenic artery, right? So let us see this celiac artery, abdominal aorta. So this abdominal aorta is giving a branch, right? This branch which is called as celiac artery. Now this celiac artery, here it is not very much clear, but this celiac artery gives its first branch as common hepatic artery or hepatic artery, which supplies blood from the abdominal aorta to the liver, and also there is one more branch which goes to the gastric, which goes to the stomach, gastric artery, and one more branch which goes to the spleen, splenic artery, right? So three arteries from the abdominal arteries, from the celiac artery: gastric artery, common hepatic artery, and splenic artery. The picture here is not very much clear, right? But if let us suppose that this is the celiac artery, then this celiac artery divides itself into three major arteries. First is hepatic artery, second is from here only it will go to the spleen, splenic artery, and from here only it will go to the stomach, gastric artery, right? So celiac artery, gastric artery, common hepatic artery, and splenic artery. This abdominal aorta gives its second branch as superior mesenteric arteries. Now The superior mesenteric arteries, it supplies to the intestine, right, small intestine, after duodenum, and also to the transverse colon, right, the transverse colon, and the ascending colon, and the transverse colon, it supplies its blood supply. So first is superior mesenteric artery, and then is renal artery. Renal artery is the artery from the abdominal aorta to the renal tissues, to the kidneys. And then we have inferior mesenteric artery. Inferior mesenteric artery supplies to the transverse colon, the distal transverse colon, and the rectum, and the sigmoid colon, right, and the anus. So inferior mesenteric artery, right. So abdominal aorta gives three branches. One is celiac artery at the level of the liver. Then is the superior mesenteric artery, right, below the level of the liver, and then at the level of the kidney, renal artery, and after that it divides into inferior mesenteric artery, right. So after abdominal aorta, the aorta becomes the common iliac artery, right. So this abdominal aorta is dividing into two. One artery is going to the left, one is going to the right. So it is called as common iliac artery. So left common iliac artery and right common iliac artery. So this this common iliac artery of the left side again divides into external iliac artery and internal iliac artery, right. Now this external and internal iliac arteries are giving its branches to the pelvis region, right. So pelvis again can be divided into right and left. So again, left common iliac artery will give its branches to the left side of the pelvis, and right common artery to the right side of the pelvis, including the genital arteries, the urinary arteries, and all those things. So left common iliac artery, right common iliac artery. After dividing into external and internal, it gives its branch. The external iliac artery becomes femoral artery at the leg region. So femoral artery at the thigh region, the external iliac artery becomes the femoral artery. So femoral artery from the thigh, it is in the thigh, it is the femoral artery, and at the level of the knee, right behind the knee, it becomes popliteal artery, right. So popliteal artery gives its first branch as peroneal artery. Then it becomes this is also abdominal aorta. Then abdominal aorta becomes the common iliac artery, the left common iliac artery, the right common iliac artery. Then this common iliac artery becomes the external iliac artery and the internal iliac artery. The internal iliac artery and the external iliac artery. The external iliac artery becomes the femoral artery. Femoral artery at the level of the thigh, it is femoral artery, and from the femoral artery it becomes the it is the popliteal artery, right. So at the back of the knee, it is the popliteal artery, right. So here it is the popliteal artery, it is not shown here, right. So femoral artery becomes the popliteal artery, and popliteal artery gives its branch peroneal artery at the posterior side. So at the posterior side, not shown here, at the posterior side, it gives its branch as the peroneal artery, which supplies to the gastrocnemius muscle, the calf region, right, the calf region. So this peroneal artery, popliteal peroneal artery, is very important. Popliteal artery, peroneal artery, and popliteal artery becomes popliteal artery gives two branches. One is anterior tibial artery and other one is posterior tibial artery. Now this anterior tibial artery, right, it is at the front of the arc, right. So this peroneal artery, this popliteal artery, right, popliteal artery is coming down. Now at the level of the ankle, it gives one back side, one at the posterior side. This posterior side is called as posterior tibial artery, and at the anterior side it is called as anterior tibial artery, right. anterior tibial artery and posterior tibial artery. And this anterior tibial artery at the anterior side of the foot, above the foot, it becomes the dorsalis pedis artery. Right? Right? So this is the, at the posterior side is the posterior tibial artery, and at the anterior, at the upside, at the front of the foot, at the up level of the foot, it is the posterior, it is the anterior tibial artery. It is the dorsalis pedis. The anterior tibial artery becomes the dorsalis pedis, right? So at the posterior side, posterior tibial artery, and at the anterior side, dorsalis pedis artery. So at the upper level, it is the dorsal pedis level, dorsal pedis artery, and at the posterior side, back at the back side of the medial malleolus, right? At the back side of the ankle, at the back side of the ankle, it is the posterior tibialis artery, right? So these are the few arteries. You can find them in the Wikipedia website, and you should remember what is where. So let us get back to the heart. So the first blood vessel to appear as soon as the aorta leaves the heart is coronary artery. The coronary arteries which supplies to the heart. So these coronary arteries are two, the right coronary artery and the left coronary artery, right? The left coronary artery, you can see it here, and the right coronary artery. Now left coronary artery again divides into two branches. First is LAD, left anterior descending branch of coronary artery, and second is left circumflex artery, right? LAD and LCX, whereas right coronary artery is one only, right coronary artery. So this left anterior descending branch is very important because most of the abnormalities are found in this left anterior descending branch. Now left coronary artery is very important overall because left ventricle is having the major function of pumping the blood, and it has major myocardial tissues, myocardium. It has the biggest myocardium, and if any pathology happens to this chamber, the left ventricle, then the problems are severe. So left anterior descending branch is the main branch which we'll be studying. So this left anterior descending branch of left coronary artery, right? Left anterior descending branch, LAD, of left coronary artery, it supplies blood first to the apex, right? The apex, right? The pointed dome of the heart, the apex of the heart, it supplies. It also supplies to the left ventricle anterior surface. Now the surface which you are seeing on this photograph is the anterior surface, right? And behind it is the posterior surface which we cannot see. So it is supplying to the anterior surface of the left ventricle. This is the left ventricle. So left ventricle, and then also it is supplying to the anterior 2/3 of the interventricular septum, right? In fact, it is written wrong here. It is not the interventricular septum, it is the atrial ventricular septum, right? So there is a cross section here, right? 2/3 of the, where is the cross section? Yeah, you can see it here only. Right here only. So this interventricular septum, the 2/3 of it, right? 2/3 of it, it is supplied by the left anterior descending branch, right? Left anterior descending branch. So this interventricular septum, this interventricular septum is supplied, the anterior two-third is supplied by the left anterior descending branch, right? And then we have the rest of the one-third of this interventricular septum is supplied by the right coronary artery, right? So where is my pen? So if this is the interventricular septum, right? This is the interventricular septum, the anterior two-third, right? Anterior two-third. So let us draw it like this. So the anterior two-third is the anterior side. From the anterior side, if this is the interventricular septum, then a half or two-third side, up to two-third, it is anterior two-third is supplied by the left coronary, the left anterior descending branch of the left coronary artery, and the remaining, the posterior one-third, right, the back side of the interventricular septum is supplied by the right coronary artery, right? Whereas this left circumflex artery, the left circumflex artery, which you can see going to the lateral side, it supplies to the lateral wall of the left ventricle, right? So lateral wall of the left ventricle is supplied by the left circumflex artery. This is very important because we are going to study diseases based on this, or we are going to study the myocardial infarctions based on these blood supplies. So left anterior descending branch, once again, it supplies to the apex, it supplies to the left ventricle, the anterior side, and it also supplies to the interventricular septum, the atrioventricular septum, but only up to the two-third. The rest one-third is supplied by the right coronary artery, right? Right coronary artery also supplies to the right atrium, and it also supplies to the posterior wall of the left ventricle, right? So this right coronary artery, it goes back, it goes from here to the back of the heart. You can see it here, it goes from here to here, and it also supplies to the, some part of it also supplies to the left ventricle as well, right? So adjacent half of the posterior wall of the left ventricle, it also supplies to the posterior wall of the left ventricle, right? So you have to read this. So now after this we will be studying the diseases. The first disease that we will take in heart. So now we know that the heart is a pumping organ, right? So what can happen? What are the diseases that you can think of, right? The first is congenital heart disease. The heart could be having deformities congenitally. Congenitally, this atrioventricular septum could not be well developed. That can lead to defects. Congenitally, the walls could not be well developed. That can lead to defects. Congenitally, the musculature could not be well developed. That can lead to problems. So all these things can lead to congenital heart diseases. First category. Second common category is ischemic heart diseases. When these blood vessels, the right coronary artery and the left coronary artery and its branches, when these are having some defects, then the muscles of the heart, the myocardium of the heart will not get enough blood supply, enough oxygen supply, enough nutrient supply. That can lead to the heart death. So that is called as ischemic heart disease, right? So that is called as pump failure. The heart can no longer pump. Then we have hypertensive heart diseases, that is hypertension. When all of the arteries of the body, they are in hypertensive state, that can lead to a heart disease. Cor pulmonale, if the lungs are having some trouble, that can lead to the heart disease. Then important category is rheumatic fever and rheumatic heart disease. These rheumatic fevers are very common in developing countries like India. So some bacterial infections, they can cause trouble to the heart as well, which is called as rheumatic fever and rheumatic heart disease, some streptococcal bacteria. Then we have endocarditis. Endocarditis, again infective endocarditis. Some bacteria, they directly go and infect the heart, just like some viruses go and affect the liver. Some bacteria, they directly go to the heart and infect the heart. Then we have valvular diseases, when the valves in the heart are defective, they are not shutting down, or they are not closing properly, so valve defects. Then we have certain other defects which are not mentioned here. Here are electrical, when the electrical conductivity of the conduction defects, when the electrical conductivity of the heart is not proper, that can lead to conduction defects. The SA node and AV node are not working properly, that can lead to conduction defects, and that can lead to heart diseases. And then we have the tumors of the heart, right? So these are the main categories which we are going to study. So we will not study congenital heart disease, right, because we have to, it will become very large. So congenital heart disease I will skip. We will directly start with ischemic heart disease. And in your book, heart failure is given the number one. Heart failure is described number one, but I will take heart failure in the end, because all the causes leads to heart failure. So you have to learn first the causes for the heart failure, the diseases responsible for heart failure, then you can understand heart failure. I don't know why they have given heart failure at the top, right? So we will start with the ischemic heart diseases, right? So mostly tomorrow we will start with the ischemic heart diseases. Okay then.